So guys, here either we are assigning the administrator role, okay? Either we are assigning the administrator role or we are assigning the read-only role. Let us say we have some junior administrators available in our network, and let us say this junior administrator is ABC and XYZ, and our requirement is to assign the VLAN permission, sorry, virtual machine permission to this ABC, which means this ABC can create only virtual machine. He can administrate only virtual machines. XYZ can administrate only data store. So we don't have any role here for virtual machine and data store. So guys, we need to create the new roles manually for virtual machine and data store. Okay, after creating the new rows, we need to create the user, then we need to assign these rows to those users. So we will see how to create the new roles. There is no VM and data store role, so we need to create this role. We need to add the role here from here. Okay, so let us create the role first, then we'll create the users, then we will assign the roles to users. So let us create the roles. The first role will be the VM role. So we need to provide the name here, any meaningful name. So let us say VM role, and here you will get the different privileges. So you will see this virtual machine role here. So if you click on it, it will select all the roles here. If you want, you can even select the, like, let me show you, add roles, VM role, and let us say you will click this VM. So if you want to assign only the inventory privileges to this user, so you can assign it. If you want to assign all the privileges to this user, you can assign it. Okay, so VM role is created. Now what we will do, we will create the user. So we'll add the user, let us say VM user, and the description, virtual machine user, and the password is NOA123 hash dollar, NOA123 hash dollar. Okay, then let us assign the VM role. Let us assign this role, VM role, to this VM user. So how will you assign the role? You need to go to host, right click, then you will go to permissions. Under permissions, you will click add. You will select the VM user and you will see the role here. Okay, previously this VM role was not there. We have created this role now, and you can add as group as well. And if you see here, it is having the virtual machine access. Then you will add user, then you will close it. So guys, right now we have logged in with root. So root is having full access. You can go to storage and you can select this option and let go to storage and browse the storage here, data store here. So you can open this page here, and you can create the virtual machine as well. You have created this virtual machine by logging the root username and password. But when you log in with VM user, you won't be able to open this option. Okay, you are restricted to manage the virtual machines only. So what we will do now, let us open the browser and we'll type the IP address of our ESXi host and we log in with VM user Nova123. So we are able to log in with this user we have created just now VM user, and you can see we can open this virtual machine, we can open the console. We have the access to this virtual machine because it is a virtual machine user. So we are able to power on this virtual machine. But if you try to access the storage, okay, if you see here an error occurred, please try again later. So why we are getting this error?
Because it's not having the database access.
It doesn't have the data store access. So we can't do anything except managing the virtual machine. You don't have even the networking privileges as well. Okay. So if you try to create, you will get the error. So only you will be able to manage the virtual machines with this user. Let us say we have one more user and you want to assign the data store access to that user. So what will you do? You will create one more group, you will create one more user, then you will assign the roles to that user. So let me show you. Let us go back to our root account, and in this root account, what we will do, we will go to manage. Under manage, first we'll create the role for data store. So do you see any data store role here? There is no data store role. If you go to host, right click, then you will go to permission and you will not see any data store role here. So you need to create the data store role first. And how will you create the data store role? You will go to manage, then you will go to security. Under security, you will go to roles, add roles, and data store role. Then we will assign the privileges. We will assign the data store privileges. So it is having multiple privileges. We will see the VMware and data store privileges only. It is having network privileges. It is having the switch privileges. So many privileges are there. So we'll click add. And if you see here, data store role is created. Now what we will do, we will create the user. Okay, you can assign the role to the existing user, or you can create the new user like DS user, description, data store user, and the password Nova123 hash dollar, Nova123 hash dollar. Now we need to assign the role to this data store user or DS user. So how will you assign the role? You will go to host, right click, permissions, add user, and now you will see the data store user. Then you need to add the user here. This user we have created, DS user. Okay, and it is having the data store permission, add user, close. So again, guys, if you see here, this is the root account, and we can create the virtual machine. We can manage the virtual machine. We can restart the virtual machine. We can shut down the virtual machine. But when we log on with DS user, you won't be able to manage the virtual machine. You can manage only the data store. Okay, so let us log on with this DS user to ESXi1. Okay, so still VM user is there. Let us log out and DS user, we log in with DS user 123 hash dollar. and we'll go to storage first. Under storage, we'll go to data store, and we are able to browse it. Previously, we were getting the error. Now it is having the privileges to access the data store. Let us go to virtual machines. Okay. If you try to access the virtual machine, you are getting this sign in box. So where you need to enter the username and password, which means this DS user doesn't have the privileges to access the virtual machine.